So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Morning, everyone. It's freezing here in Ireland. Then again, I do have the window open. I just noticed, as I can see here in the video. So maybe that has something to do with it. Hope everyone's good on this Sunday. An early one, 10 a.m. I don't know why I chose 10 a.m. I just felt like the right time last night when I was doing it. But I didn't want the occasion, if you want to call it that, of the release list to go without having some sort of conversation on specifically, I suppose, two of the more senior members of the squad that have departed and will move to pastures anew over the course of the next few months prior to the start of the season. And obviously those two people are Ashley Young and Conor Hourihane. We will look into the youth players, and we will talk a small bit about those as well, because there are one or two of those that are I suppose that will have, well, definitely one person I think anyway will have a good lower league career, or will go on to at least be picked up by some lower league team. But I do want to devote some time to speaking about Ashley Young and to Conor Hourihane. Before I do so, happy 30th birthday to Philippe Coutinho, the man behind me here. I can never get that right on screen. The man behind me, 30th birthday today. He's ours, and that's fantastic. It's great to say it. It's great to have him. Great to kind of remember every so often that, oh yeah, Philippe Coutinho's ours. No, he's definitely ours, and kind of gives me a bit of pep in my step. So hopefully he has a good day today on his 30th birthday. So Aston Villa, as you guys know, will have the same as most Premier League teams, will have announced their released retained list over the course of the last few days. 1st of July being, well, the 30th of June, 1st of July being the cutoff date for a lot of contracts. So it's there is a date that they have to have their released retained list into the FA, I think, by on a certain date. I don't know what it is, but Aston Villa announced theirs. And Aston Villa released 8 players, as I said, 2 of them, namely being Ashley Young and Conor Hourihane. Also Finlay Thorndike, Mungo Bridge, Paul Apaya, Tristan Goodridge, and Dominic Revan were the other guys as well that were released by Aston Villa Football Club. And we will get to those guys in a moment. Soupy Mark says, is it too early for a can of cider? No, I'm not a cider drinker. I'm going to be honest. I'm not a cider drinker. Never have. Even on a warm day, you'll probably find me with a pint of Guinness in my hand, as opposed to a can of cider. But yeah, sure, go for a can of cider. It's as good. It's as good a drink as any on a morning like today. Ashley Young and Conor Hourihane, I suppose both of them hold a special place in my heart. One of them holds it for his first stint with the club, Ashley Young. I don't think that should be misstated or understated, should I say, is that Ashley Young has given us, some good service over 2 stints with the club. First stint with the club, absolutely, a driving force under Martin O'Neill. Really hit the heights with Aston Villa Football Club, and yes, he left in acrimonious enough circumstances, I think, at the time, and he moved to Manchester United. But that's all water under the bridge, and he came back last season on a free transfer, and he provided some much needed, I think, at times this year, experience, counsel, and probably a calm head within that dressing room over the course of the season. I'm not going to sit here and rewrite history and say that I haven't been on his case a lot this season, because of the fact that I do think that he is not a Premier League standard left back, but not even a backup Premier League standard left back. I don't think you can rely on somebody who's 36 when he started playing the position in his 30s to be that next man up after somebody like Luca Dean because he can't do the things that Luca Dean does. He can't get up and down the field like Luca Dean does. And, that's just Father Time being undefeated. No criticism of him, criticism of the team building. Paddy's here. I didn't even ask Paddy. I didn't even tell Paddy I was doing this podcast because Paddy was at the Ireland and Scotland game yesterday. And I did slag Paddy a good bit saying, God, man, you're wasting your money going to see Ireland and Scotland yesterday. And I got to see a banger of a game whereby Ireland beat Scotland 3-0 with a young team. And man, was it exciting. Man, was it exciting to see some of the players that were on show there. And actually, one of the players I have coming up next week in my scouting piece, Jason Knight, I mentioned him, Derby County player. I mentioned him last season that Villa should basically just go and sign him and have him learn behind Coutinho. And even if they need to let him go out on loan, that's what they should do because he's going to be Ireland's talisman, I think, in the coming years from an attacking point of view. But Paddy's here. I didn't even ask him. I just presumed you'd be hungover this morning, Paddy, and 10 o'clock was going to be too early. So if you feel like jumping on, you can jump on. Paddy said he was too hungover this morning. But getting back to Ashley Young, I'm not going to sit here and rewrite history and say, yes, we should have kept him on because I have been pretty critical of his performances over the course of the season. And you know me, it's not a case of me sticking the boot in on anyone. I just felt that it was, from a roster building point of view, our full back positions were very, very, very open last season. And we saw it when Luca Dean got injured those 3 games in a row and he was out for a period of time. Ashley Young comes in and look, he can be plausible, but when when teams are going to be game planning for you, they're going to pick him out. They're going to pick him out and they're going to try and go for him. And for me, he was played all over the park as well last season, which I don't think is fair to him. I'm sure he was absolutely okay with it, but we played him in central midfield against West Ham. We played him wide left a couple of times. Played behind the striker a couple of times in the 10 position. Look, he's from what I've read on Twitter and on the internet, he was maybe offered to stay on. Maybe he wanted more years in the contract. Maybe he wanted backroom role. I don't know. But he's not staying on. And Ashley Young is going to move on to pastures new. But with all that said, I think it is important to understand that there is a need for an elder statesman within that dressing room. I would have had no problem with Ashley Young staying on to be that elder statesman, but I do feel that we need to bring in another left back. He can't be this auxiliary player at 36. You can't have an auxiliary player at 36. Okay, if he was a specialist that was coming in maybe to play up top, to play behind the back, to play behind the front two, maybe even to just maybe like a Fernandinho to get 20 games a season as a defensive midfielder, I'm okay with that. But somebody who's transitioned to a position, and a demanding position, a position that's becoming more and more and more and more and more demanding as the years go on, specifically in the Premier League, of being a roving fullback. And then to obviously want him to be this person who can sit in behind the back front too and just be this Swiss Army knife at 36 years of age. I think we're kind of fooling ourselves if we think that that's what we need to have, or that that's a viable option for a club that is looking to get into Europe and for a club that is looking to push up the league. It's not a criticism of Ashley Young. As I say, Father Time is undefeated. That's literally all this is. Call me ageist, maybe. I don't know. But Ashley Young is only a year younger than me. And I know. I know he doesn't look like it, does he? He doesn't look like he's only a year younger than me. Look, I think the club probably did want him to stay. I think they probably offered him a year and maybe said, look, it's going to be a very abridged season for you. You may not get the minutes that you got last time, and we're looking to bring somebody in. So maybe it might be your third choice left back. And potentially that wasn't what he wanted. And that's fine. That's absolutely brilliant. Go back yourself. Careers are short. I'm sure it's not a money thing for Ashley Young at the moment. I would absolutely be certain it's not a money thing for Ashley Young at the moment. But I think he probably wants to go somewhere where he feels he's not ready to give up on playing yet. And he's not ready to be, a part of a shadow bench group or whatever. And that's cool. He will find a club. There might even be another Premier League team that picks him up this season. and gets him to come in and gets minutes from him. Maybe he might go back out to Serie A, where that pace differential that they have between that and the Premier League may suit him. But I wish him all the best. I absolutely do. And as I say, there is going to be a experience and there is going to be an elder statesman gap within the team. And I wouldn't be so surprised to see if Aston Villa do bring in somebody maybe that's in 30 or older bracket just to even out the experience. Because it's something that Steven Gerrard has mentioned, that he wants to get fully formed players in here that can that have experience and that can be leaders in the dressing room too. So I think that's good. But as I say, it's ruthless. Absolutely, and I would be ruthless in this one. Moving on to Conor Hourihane, I think this is ruthless as well, but this was ruthless 2 years ago when more or less the decision on Conor Hourihane was made. The decision on Conor Hourihane's future with Aston Villa, I would even say, almost dates back as far as when we played Fulham in 2021, early in the season, 2020. We played Fulham, beat him 3-0. Conor Hourihane played really well that day, and he didn't get a sniff for weeks and weeks and weeks afterwards, for months afterwards, almost under Dean Smith. Brought in Ross Barkley. Ross Barkley started to play for the forward in that position. Douglas Luiz and John McGinn were played further behind him. Conor Hourihane provided us with some really, really great moments. My favourite moment is when he went in to rip the head off Patrick Bamford in that infamous Leeds game. But I jest because, as I say, I can't sit here and talk about fake fan rivalries and then bring something up like that and then go in and say it was great. But look, it was a bit of a spark that we needed in that season. If you remember, we're in the championship, we're on this long run, and we needed to have that little bit of a spark. And trust a fella from Bandon, County Cork, to come in with his fists up, and I was delighted to see it, because it just kind of went to show that Villa aren't a soft touch. Yes, we had a bad start to the season, and we were propelling ourselves up the table, and we saw Leeds as a viable target. We saw they had a target in their back, which they should have, because they were playing brilliant football and they were really playing well in the championship. And we saw them with a target on their back, and we came out fighting. And sometimes you just need that little spark point. And that's not all I'm going to remember him for. He scored, I think he had a 1 in 5 ratio for Aston Villa for midfielder, which is fantastic. He's played the most games of his career for any club for Aston Villa, So in his mind, he would see Aston Villa as a club close to his heart. I'm sure he does. And I know he does. And you see his leaving post. Which is there. I'm not sure if I've seen anything from Ashley Young. I know I haven't seen the outpouring of emotion from fans, and a lot of fans thanking Ashley Young for his time here, probably because we've done 10 years ago, and this was only a one and done deal for him. But Conor Hourihane, he'll be remembered for so much. I remember when we were back in the Premier League, and Steve Bruce, I think, was still our manager. And we had that game against Newcastle, if I'm not mistaken. I just grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck, and he scored 1, if not 2 goals that day. He's the last person we've had who could score a free kick. Conor Hourihane, very, very underrated player. I think a player sometimes that he's a very modest guy. When you hear him talk, he's got the drive of somebody who has come up through all the leagues, which is fantastic and which is great, and it's apparent. But I think he's very modest as well at times. Last season, I know that he trained with John McGinn when John McGinn was coming back from the Euros, and he did that in his own back, knowing that he probably wasn't going to come back to Aston Villa, because he knew that by training with John McGinn, number one, he was going to get John McGinn fit for Aston Villa, because the two of them were paired together, as far as I'm aware, by Aston Villa. And he knew he was going to do that to help out Aston Villa. But also, he also had it in the back of his mind that potentially he wasn't going to be coming back to Aston Villa. And that's a selfless thing. That's a humble thing to do. And, good teammates like that, they aren't to a penny. They aren't to a penny good teammates. You see, Tyrone Mings has come out and said that Conor Hourihane is one of the best. He's one of the best guys to have in around the dressing room like that, with his mentality and his selflessness. So I've got nothing but... and I know he hasn't played for the club in quite a long period of time, but Like what he did for us at the time he was with us, I think there needs to be a big commendation towards Conor Hourihane. Once again, obviously I'm Irish. There's always a big affinity with Irish players in Aston Villa, and he didn't do that tie or that affinity any harm whatsoever. And I think if anything, he heightened it because he came in, and pound for pound, I would nearly go so far as to say that over the last 10 years, he's been one of our best signings based on the fee that we paid for him. What I suppose expectations for him at that time, coming in, having a 1-5 record, being that championship player that we needed to, like, he was brilliant in the championship. Let's not forget that. And I think really just the tactical kind of upheaval that he would have had to go through, and playing wide as a wide left midfielder sometimes in the Premier League didn't really suit him. Maybe lacking a small bit of pace, absolutely, but that, like, we're all talking about a number 8 now that can pass the ball, and that metronomic number 8 at the moment. And to be honest with you, Conor Hourihane could pass the ball really well. He was a good passer of the ball. He was a nice left-footed player, and he had endeavour for days, But as I say, he is definitely, there is no doubt in the world that he's going to be somebody who's going to pick up a club. And he's going to pick up a very decent club. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him maybe rock up again at Norwich City with a Dean Smith or somebody like that, because I think that he could play very well at that level with Dean Smith and fit in seamlessly and be a real leader within that Norwich team. Yeah, and as I said, there's a lot of people here talking about the some of the games that he's played, and that Norwich game as well. We beat Norwich 5-0 as well. He played absolutely brilliant there too. Yeah, it's and Shane Coleman says here as well that Grealish had great time for him as well. His goal versus West Ham in the playoffs was unbelievable. Yeah, like when we reached the Premier League, it didn't really click in for him from a tactical point of view, I suppose, really, specifically our second year in the Premier League. And which is a shame, really, because he's bust his gut all his life to play in the Premier League. And we were his first chance to really play in the Premier League. Yes, when Sunderland were in the Premier League, he was on the books, didn't play with them, dropped down into the Championship, dropped down into League Two, played with Plymouth, played with Barnsley, and then obviously worked his way back. So I wish him nothing but success. And I'd love to sit down and talk to him about Aston Villa someday, because whenever I've heard him in interviews, he sounds like a guy that, there's sometimes you listen to people talk and you go, oh, I don't know, would I be friends with them, or I don't know, I could take or leave them when they're talking. Conor Hourihane seems like a guy that I could be mates with, if that makes sense. I'd love to sit down and have a pint with him and discuss, because I think he'd give it to you unabridged, but I think he'd give it to you fair as well, his opinion on certain things. So fair play to him, Conor Hourihane, and best of luck to him in the future. And he leaves with nothing but gratitude from me here for the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. Now let's talk a little bit about some of the other guys as well. So we've had some of the academy graduates. So there are 2 senior players that have left. Akar Sonodi announced quite some time ago that he was going to leave. He had been on loan at Sporting Bromsgrove. I don't know if Ben is here. I don't know, is he here? Who had been our roving reporter at Sporting Bromsgrove. But yes, he's announced that he has left the club. I think something in his post might have mentioned he doesn't know if he's actually going to continue with football. I don't know, was that his follow-up post or whatever, but I hope he does. So Akar Sonodi is somebody who has left the club also. Finlay Thorndike is somebody who the club has decided not to renew their ties with as well. Finlay Thorndike, he was an attacking midfielder. We signed him from West Brom. Only last season, the 2020, only this season really, 2021, 2022. He was one of those tri-list players for the under 23s for a period of time, I think towards the end of last season. But we signed him this season. He made 18 appearances for our Premier League 2 team, scored 3 goals and 2 assists. So he did get quite a lot of minutes for us. He played 1,326 minutes in total, actually, throughout the course of this season. So somebody who had a lot of development time within the youth structure, and they've decided not to renew his contract. Where he ends up with, I think he's somebody that might be worth looking at, because he's quite he's got quite a decent build for a player, for a youth player, should I say, but he is hitting 20. I think this is one of the people that, the Christian Purslow is looking at that, we'll bring in players. We'll have a look at players maybe 19, 20, 21. And, if they aren't showing that promise early, then we will have to be ruthless and dismiss them. Another player as well that we have released is Paul Apaya, a massively tall, big, strong right back, centre back. Did play kind of on the right hand side of the centre back. We initially signed him from Chelsea in 2019. Came straight into our under 18s, but he didn't play a whole pile over his time with Aston Villa. He actually played 7 games this season, but he only accumulated 290 minutes. And the season previous, he played 3 games, only accumulating 210 minutes. So didn't really hit the heights. Didn't really play an awful lot for the club. And I've absolutely no idea where his future ends up within the game, but I do wish him all the best in the future. Sticking with centre halves, somebody I think that will. This is the guy I mentioned. I think he will maybe. I think he definitely will find some employment at what used to be the Vanarama Conference level, and it's Dominic Revan. Dominic Revan was signed by us. Actually, he came through the academy, should I say. First really started playing with Villa Youths in the Villa 18s and 17-18 season. He went on loan to Weymouth after he played in the game against Liverpool. He went on loan to Weymouth in the 2021 season, and he played with them for a period of time. And then last season, he went on loan to Northampton, and that didn't go so well for him. So when he played with Weymouth, so he had loads of minutes for us. So as a 17-year-old with Aston Villa, he played I'm just looking at it here. How many minutes did he play for the club? Gosh, he played the bones of 4,000, nearly coming 4,000 minutes at Premier League 2 football for Aston Villa, accumulating 40 games in total. For Villa at Premier League 2 level. Then he goes on loan to Weymouth, and he plays all 16 starts that he could have played in, and he played 1,440 minutes, and he played quite well for them in that period as well. And then he goes on loan to Northampton in League 2, and it didn't really click for him. Northampton were pushing for promotion. They finished 4th in League 2 in the 2021-2022 season, but he only played 3 games, and he only amassed 138 minutes. I definitely think that he will cotton on somewhere. I think that he will, a club will take a chance on him, and I think that he will get an opportunity probably in the National League. And I do wish him all the best. As I said, Dominic Revan, his brother Seb Revan with the club also as well. And I wish him all the best in where he goes after this. Second last person we're going to talk about as well is Tristan Goodridge. Tristan Goodridge is he's an interesting character, because he's another guy who came and he was one of those trialists for a period of time with Aston Villa. We signed him here, initially signed from Wimbledon, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have the notes on him here. Wimbledon. He did go on trial with Reading last season for a period of time, but came back to play with Aston Villa. Now, he played in 17 games for Villa last season, and he notched up 4 goals and 3 assists. So he wasn't exactly ornamental for a lot of last season, and he was pretty pivotal for the Premier League 2 team. Playing that amount of minutes, or playing that amount of games, should I say, 991 minutes, but scoring 4 goals and getting 2 assists in that team, that's going to need to be replaced, considering that there's a lot of rotation in and around there, but in around that level, should I say. But Tristan Goodridge, once again, he's an attacking left winger, right winger. He's only 19 years of age, and I would imagine that, like a lot of the guys there, he will probably rebuild his career somewhere down in the lower leagues as well. But quite a decent output in the Premier League 2 last season, as I say, scoring 4 goals and 3 assists in only 10 starts, 17 appearances overall. Lastly, we're going to look at Mungo Bridge. So Mungo Bridge was somebody Aston Villa had very, very high hopes for. Made his debut for the Aston Villa under-18s in 2019-20. He's now 21 years of age. He's left-footed centre half, playing left back as well. He went on loan it was a strange loan. He went on loan to France last season. He went on loan to France. Sorry, the season before. Yeah, 2021, 2022. Went on loan to France to a team called Ananchi. I don't know how to pronounce it, but they were in the National One League table. So they got promoted actually from that division, and they're going to play in League Two next season. So he's somebody who played he was at a club that played at a decent level, but he barely even played for them, if played for them at all last season. So that loan looks like it may have been a wasted loan. He's another guy who played a lot of time at Villa, played a lot of time in the underage structure, would have played 2,500 minutes. He played 12 games in the 1920 season, played 12 games in the 2021 season. He was highly thought of, but he just never really made the breakthrough. I know he trained with Dean Smith's senior squad quite a lot, and it just the wheels kind of fell off for him, maybe somewhere in around getting to the Premier League and so on, that he was just deemed surplus to requirements, or the progress stalled. He's going to be another interesting one because, look, he's got such a fantastic name. Mungo Bridge is just like a brilliant name. But once again, I think all these players have maybe probably bar Paul Opaya. I think that all these players have an opportunity to really catch on at a lower league club, maybe get another chance within football. And I hope they do that too, because the Aston Villa Academy is heralded at the moment. We're bringing through some good players. So just because it becomes the end of the road for a player in the Aston Villa Academy shouldn't mean it should be the end of the road of our footballing career. As Christian Purslow said, the age of our academy graduates, to try and get them into the first team, they want to lower that. They want to bring it down. They don't want 22-year-olds playing in the academy system. So, if you are getting to a certain age or a certain level, maybe it would be time for you to start to see if you can maybe catch a break at senior football. And for Mungo Bridge, he's going to be 23. He's going to be 22 in September of this year. So I think maybe just the road was running out for him at academy level. I think it probably suited him and suited Aston Villa to give him that chance to see if he could catch on, maybe get a chance at a lower league club. But once again, wish him all the best. And hopefully it's nice to have all these players and to look at all these players, maybe look at them 5 years down the line and say, gosh, he had a really, really good career at, I don't know, maybe rocks up at Barrow, keeps Barrow in League Two, maybe gets Barrow promoted to League One or something like that. Those fairy tale stories, maybe ends up with a team like Fleetwood, with Scott Brown or someone like that, gets an ex-manager to manage him, coach him up. And I think that goes for every player here as well. And for the pyramid of football, it's very important that these players do get a chance again once they just because they finished their academy career, that isn't it, that they do get a chance somewhere else down the leagues too, which is interesting. Anything there? Western Ood says the Thorndike's my mate's son. His dad is chairman of Alf Church FC. Excellent. Well, tell him we think we're disappointed that Finley is gone, but we wish him all the best in the future, in his future endeavors and where he does go. And I do seem like I'm a spokesperson for the club when I talk about future endeavors and stuff like that. I'm getting pronunciation lessons. Thank you. Honest, I still can't even pronounce that word. Him, it's Anis-C, N-E-C-C, N-E-C-C-C. The French club is what I will call them. The French club that Mungo Bridge went to. That's it. That's what I'm going to call him. But it's, as I say, look, it's Aston Villa don't tend to release a lot of senior players, and that's why I wanted to do this, and I wanted to talk about it. And plus, also, become pretty familiar with a lot of those names on the youths academy side of things after the exploits of the youth team last year. We followed them high up and low down, and obviously getting to the FA Cup. And then obviously we had the Liverpool piece as well in between. So a lot of these names would have popped up on a lot of radars over the last year or so. So I think it was important to kind of recognize them as they have left the club, and we do wish them all the best in the future. So that's really going to do it for today, guys. I'm probably 19, 20 minutes longer than I wanted to spend in this, but I'm glad I did, because Ashley Young, Conor Hourihane, best of luck to them in the future. It is important to kind of recognise the efforts that they have given this club as well. And now we can kind of, I suppose, draw a line and look forward to maybe who the outgoings for money will be from players over the next few days and weeks. And I think there will be outgoings. Obviously, names are, there's a lot of people mentioning a lot of names, and we'll see what comes out there. And then after that, then I think we will look at incomings again. Over the course of the next week, guys, I will be doing some scouting series. We'll be looking at some players that I feel will be good additions to Aston Villa Football Club. Maybe haven't been linked to the club at all, but just players that I feel will be good additions. I do still have Quinton Merlin that I haven't recorded and released. I will do that this evening. That will be out tomorrow. And then I also have a little piece coming up next week of 5 people who are still on the free transfer list for Aston Villa Football Club that I think would be good additions to help pad out the squad. So keep an eye out for that. We will have a full slate, at least 5 podcasts, I would say, coming again next week. So if you aren't subscribed, please do subscribe. Hit the thumbs up on this video itself. Hit the little bell button beside the subscribe section as well, and you'll get notified when we are going live, or maybe when these podcasts are up. I'd love for you to join me on those. We put in a lot of effort over the last couple of weeks, and well, actually, sorry, I call it effort. We've put in a lot of content over the last few weeks, but it hasn't been effort, should I say? And we want to continue that going, because the interaction and the outpouring of love and excitement about Aston Villa has been great. So thank you very much, everybody. And thank you to everybody who sent me messages over the last few weeks about the content that we're putting up, always striving to be better. We finally nailed the outro and the intro music sound levels and found out where the issue is coming from. So anything like that, always let me know. We're always trying to get better. But please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please subscribe to the audio channel. We'll be back again tomorrow. Until then, all that's left to say is stay safe and up the Villa.